way a hey ya, way a hey ya, yanda way oh way a hey ya, yanda way oh way a hey ya. Welcome everyone. My name is Tamar Ilana. This is Demetri Petsalakis and Jaash Singh. And we are standing right now in Toronto, where I was born, in Canada, or Turtle Island as we call it. And this has been the land of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit for time immemorial. And we thank them so much for taking care of this land, and we hope we can do better at doing so ourselves. I learned that song from my mother, Dr. Judith Cohen, and she learned it from Sadie Buck of Six Nations Reserve here in Ontario. And we used to sing it every single time we opened a show. Always used to start with that song, a cappella with shakers and a drum, because it's a women's traveler song. And we were women traveling, and still are. I grew up on the road with my mother. I grew up singing with her in many languages. I grew up hitchhiking and taking trains and buses because she didn't drive. I grew up in old age homes and in mountain villages, interviewing old ladies, usually old ladies, who had outlived their husbands and still lived in the village. And we'd record their songs while they still remembered them before they passed away, so that those songs would be remembered. And she would learn them and teach them to me, and we'd sing them. Now, my mother's of Jewish descent. She's from Montreal, and her family's from Lithuania and Latvia. And my dad is half Indigenous from Pre-Soto Treaty 4 territory in Saskatchewan. And the other half is Romanian and Scottish, not too far from Wales. But it was my mother that taught me that song, because it was my mother who's the keeper of traditions and who has dedicated her whole life to keeping traditions alive through song. She said, you should know your father's culture. And then later, my dad did find his roots and became the president of the Native Center. And I also went to powwows and learned a lot with Elder Vern Harper. And I'm good friends now with his daughter, Cody, who made me with this beautiful piece, Miigwech. But again, it was my mother that taught me that song. And most of the songs I'm going to sing tonight. This next one is called Beresarika. It says, come little Sarah, bring me water. And she says, oh, it's cold, I'm going to get sick. He says, I'll buy you shoes, don't worry. If your feet are bare and you need shoes, so that you don't get sick. And she says, nah, I'm good, I don't trust you. My dad's rich and he'll buy me shoes, I'm fine. And this is of the Sephardic Jews of Turkey. So one of the many, many cultures that we studied and sang, but the big specialty of my mother is that I grew up singing. Well, first it was medieval and Renaissance, but then a lot of Sephardic music that we would sing. Sephardic music is of the Jews of Spain who got kicked out and expelled in 1492, and they went all across the Mediterranean. They went to the Balkans, they went to Greece and Turkey, they went to Morocco, and we would go there and we would learn the songs. And here's one of them. As I said, the Jews migrated all over the Mediterranean. And one of the places they migrated, of course, was the Balkans. And we went there a lot. And not only, well, we didn't go to the Balkans that much, but we went to Greece and Turkey and that whole area quite a bit when I was a kid. Later on, when I was a little older, my mom had always told stories of when she'd gone to the Balkans in the 70s and all these crazy stories of hers ending up barefoot on planes and stealing towels from hotels and all sorts of stuff, borrowing. And I'd always wanted to go. Finally, we went on the plane. I remember I was making a friendship bracelet. My mom was so excited. And we went to Varna in Bulgaria for a conference. And, all these villages and all these times I've grown up, I always longed for a friend. I longed for a sibling. I longed for somebody to be there when I turned the corner and I'd suddenly, what are you doing here? I'm so happy to see you. And then we'd hang out together. I always had these visions of that. It never really happened like that, but it did happen in other ways. For example, in Varna, this conference, I was walking down the hallways of the conference, and I turned the corner, and there was this guy sitting there, a guy my age. I was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I'm like, my mom's at the conference. My mom's at the conference. And he was like, really? We were immediately friends. I was like, what I always dreamed of. I ran into a friend, you know? His name was Asen. And we'd spent the rest of the week together every day. We'd walk through the woods, we'd go walk through the town, we'd swim in the Black Sea, the jellyfish there. And he was a ballroom dancer, and he would teach me ballroom dance, and we'd meet every morning at 8 a.m. and I'd learn the tango, and I'd learn cha-cha, and I'd learn salsa. That's really what I learned in the Balkans. And I'd teach him flamenco, sevillanas, and we'd sing Balkan songs together, and we'd walk down the street, and the old women would either say like, oh, you guys are amazing, what a fantastic duo, and amazing duet and voices, or they'd say, no, I don't think so. It's like this. And this medley is one of what we sang. toma, toma, que toma, toma, ale, arsa. I also grew up doing flamenco. But not because I went to Spain so much, because I just loved it. You know, I saw it when I was 7. I saw Esmeralda Enrique dance, and I fell in love with it. I said, I want to do that. And my mom said, well then, go talk to her. So I did. And it stayed with me my whole life. Once you do flamenco, you can't go back. LA, LA, LA. Eventually I did tie it together. My travels in Spain and the mountains and flamenco, and I went and I lived there on numerous occasions and studied with the best. And can't wait to go back. LA, LA, toma, toma, I remember one time we were on the plane. We're getting on the plane to go to Spain, the plane to Spain. And we were, you know, with the viol, with the oud and the viol. I always carried all these instruments for my mom, all her recorders and the medieval fiddle and percussion instruments and darbukas, everything, you know, you see here, but the acoustic version. And we put it all up, we pack, we'd try and be first in there to get everything up there. And this one time I remember she was like, why don't you put your jacket up? Give me your jacket, I'll put it up there. And I was like, what jacket? I didn't bring a jacket. She's like, what do you mean you didn't bring a jacket? I can't believe you didn't. You know, mothers. I was like, we're going to Spain. I thought it was going to be warm. I don't know. It's like, you should know by now after all these years. And I was like 8 or 9. Anyways, we got to Spain. We landed in Madrid. LA. And, LA. Toma, toma, tra, 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 tra. And we took a bus, and we took another bus, and we slept overnight in a pension in a village, and I went through the stack of bus schedules my mom always carried, trying to find the right bus and the right time and the right this and the right that. And we went to the bar in the town, the only place that had phones at the time. And we would call to the next town, is Maria of so-and-so there? They'd go and find Maria. She'd come to the bar of the other town. She'd answer the phone. Yeah, Maria's here. We'd be like, great, bus schedules. You know, get on a bus, go to the next town, go to the bar of the town. We called like yesterday about Maria. Is she there? Oh yeah, she's at this so-and-so house. We'd go to her house, we'd knock on the door. We'd come in, always looking for songs. Okay, that was always the goal. My mother's goal was always to find old songs, whether they were Sephardic songs or crypto-Jewish songs of the Jews that hid in Spain in Portugal for 500 years. You know, we're always on the search for hidden culture and songs that was about to be lost. And we'd learn it, sing it, and preserve it. And so we'd knock on the door. Maria, hey! The bar told you we were coming. And sometimes they'd open the door, sometimes, you know, depending on the situation. They'd be like, who's this? And they'd see me, and you'd be like, oh, cutie. No, it depended on the situation. Sometimes they would pretend they're not home. And sometimes they'd welcome us with open arms. Oh my God, come in. Have some cheese. Because always in the middle of their cold stone houses, there would be this table, stark table, with stale cheese, some stale sausage, some stale bread that they made in the oven of the town. And they'd be so proud of everything. Some aguardiente, you know, some illegal alcohol maybe that they'd stomped the grapes themselves and made themselves. And they'd, please eat this. Please have some. I'd be like, Mom, do I have to? She'd be like, yeah, you have to. And we had a code. I was allowed to say anything I wanted as long as I said it nicely. Like, oh my God, I really don't want to have any. She'd be like, great, you have to have some anyway. So we'd eat it. And I remember in this one time, Maria, they're all called Maria, just so you know. Ale. She was like stoking the fire on the floor in the cold house without my jacket because I'd forgot it, you know. And she was like, hey, why don't I give you some woolen sweaters and another woolen sweater and another woolen sweater and another woolen sweater. Why don't you go and explore the town while I'm here with your mom, you know? And I was like, sounds like a good idea. And I looked at my mom, I was like, yeah, go ahead. And she went into her, you know, they always wear black because they're mourning their husbands, and multiple skirts. And she went into her 7 folds of 7 skirts and found this key. And she pulled it out. She gave it to me, this magical key. I was like, what is this? She's like, it's the key to the castle. The key to the castle, oh my God. And I went running. I knew where the castle was, of course. Like, you can tell we've been playing for 10 years. And anyways, I just ran straight there. I just remember this. And I was along a narrow road, and it was steep on either side, down to the fields of the town I was running. And there's just this guy with this donkey, like pulling his donkey home. He's like looking at me running, like, who is this girl? I was like, whatever. And I just ran by, and I went into the castle. I spent the day there exploring, walking the walls, and it really started my love for castles. And from then on, every castle we passed, we stopped, and I'd walk the walls. So I can't wait to be back in this castle. This one is from Bosnia. Every town we went to, we would sing a song from that town. And my mom woke me up on the plane for this one. She said, we're about to land in Sarajevo. Quick, learn this song. Forgot to teach you a song from here. This is how it went. Grana odabora, pal kraj mora, grana odabora, pal kraj mora, jer sam osa na polju jero, osa ozepću mi ja. Jer sam osa na polju jero, osa ozepću mi ja. Grana odabora, pal kraj mora, grana odabora, pal kraj mora, jer sam osa na polju jero, osa ozepću mi ja. Jer sam osa na polju jero, osa ozepću mi ja. Ay, yo lloré por él, ay, yo lloré por él, ay, yo lloré por él, ay, ahora me río de 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 él, ay, ahora me río. ¡Acá! Toma. Seville. LA. So over the years, flamenco is all about telling your personal story. It's an individual art form. When you sing flamenco, when you dance flamenco, you're singing about yourself. It's personal. When you sing Sephardic music, you're the messenger. Y el rey que mucho madruga, y el rey que mucho madruga, y ande la reina se iba, ande la reina se iba. That's the Turkish Sephardic thing. It says the king went to the queen and found out she was cheating on him, and she said, oh, I was just dreaming, I'm making it up, and he cuts her head off with a ruby necklace. But you're just telling the story. They use it as a lullaby, in fact, because it's, hopefully by the end of the song the kid is sleeping. But in flamenco, no way, you're telling that story, you're telling it about yourself. You're the queen, or the king, whoever you may be. This one, I learned from Arcángel, one of my greatest singers. I moved to Spain on my first day of flamenco school at the Fundación Cristina Jerez. I tell you, I cried. I went home crying. I was like, I don't know how to sing. I never sang before. I don't know anything at all. But the joy of the next day as I went back and sitting in front of me and my teacher was a star I'd always loved and looked up to, Arcángel. And he taught us this song. It's not really a song, it's a flamenco piece. Works a little differently, but for now we can call it a song. And it says, I went into the courtroom and I asked the judge, is loving you worthy of the death penalty? happy to be here. I'll be here next year in real life. Thank you so much to Naomi Wilds and the whole team at Beyond the Border, Wales International Storytelling Festival. What an honor. Thank you so much, really. Let's hear Demetri for a second. Aide. From Northern Africa and from all the Spanish colonies, again in 1492. A lot happened in 1492, when, to say the least. And, but of course, when the Spaniards went to the Americas, what are now known as the Americas, they brought back music and language and culture, food and everything. And that also contributed to flamenco. Cantes de ida y vuelta, it's called. So flamenco is really a mix of all sorts of incredibly deep art forms in the south of Spain, that landed in the south of Spain. And Sephardic music is the opposite. It went from Spain east. And really those two crossroads are where I live. Actually kind of where I live, where I've lived a lot, because right in the middle is Ibiza. And on a side note here, and why I love electronic music so much, one of the reasons, because I'm also a raver, but one of the reasons is that my mom also retraced the steps of a very famous ethnomusicologist, Alan Lomax. You might have heard of him. And he also grew up recording with his dad, a lot in the prisons in the States. The first one to value black music and blues, and really, I mean, not the first one, but the first ethnomusicologist that we know of to really record it. And he went all over Europe as well with his dad, much like my mom. And we retraced his steps through Spain. And landed in one of the places he recorded was in Ibiza in the 50s. And we went back 50 years later when I was about 14 and recorded all the music of the valleys this time, not the mountains. LA. And this one's from Morocco, like I was saying. One time we were in Morocco in a marketplace. We were sitting with this old woman on her couch, on her floor. We always stayed on couches and floors. And we're in the market looking at everything, spices, everything, this, that, tea, mint tea. just suddenly got so scared. I was like, Mom, I got so anxious. Mom, we have to go home. She's like, what's happening? What's going on? No, we don't. We're good. I'm like, no, we have to. I don't know why. We have to. She's like, okay, calm down. We'll go. And we went and we knocked on the door. The door was locked. The door was never locked. You know, we knocked. Finally, we circled the house. So I tried to peer in different windows. Finally, we peered through a window and we saw that the woman we'd been staying with, she was lying on the couch, like passed out. And we were like, oh my God, what's happening? We called the neighbors. They called the cops. The cops came. They brought her to the hospital. She had a stroke. And we'd found her like that, fortunately. And she was okay. She got better. And she came to say thank you. And she gave me this beautiful gold headpiece. And whenever I sing this song, which I learned from Sully Levy, the late Sully Levy, may he rest in peace, and Kelly and Jaron Eljo. Whenever I sing this song from Morocco, I think of her. And it says, Arre lumbre, may there be light and happiness shining down upon the bride. And it's a woman's song, of course. Here we go. Ni por cien novios, ni por otros cientos, y una noche como esta no es de dormir, amor y recordis, amor. Margot from the Holy Trinity, Pat on sound, we have Alex on legs, we have Ana Maria and Alejandra on video, Ali, of course, my love, RSA, my dad, Robert, Golden Eagle of Light, and of course my mom, Dr. Judith Cohen. This last one goes out to Alini Morales and all the Maracatu people out there. Woo! And my whole life I spent on stage with my mom, and the first summer I spent in Toronto, I was actually 22, believe it or not. And I started, this friend of mine had been like, come play Maracatu. This is Maracatu. Well, this is part of Maracatu. An Afro-Brazilian tradition from northern Eastern Brazil. And she said, come play Maracatu. And I was like, no, that's enough world music, I'm good. But she finally convinced me. It was Anae. She finally convinced me and I went and I never looked back. And Alini Morales and Alex were leading dances at the time. They heard me sing